The school bell echoed through the hallways of Ridgewood High, signaling the end of another ordinary math test. For most students, it was just another hurdle before the weekend. But for Maya Thompson, it felt like the weight of the world had settled on her thin shoulders. She handed in her paper, her fingers trembling as she caught the cold glance of her math teacher, Mrs. Collins. Maya wasn't the kind of student who stood out, quiet, polite, always seated at the back. She wore second-hand clothes that never quite fit and carried a backpack patched together with safety pins and hope. But what she lacked in possessions, she made up for in heart and grit. She studied late into the night after helping her younger brother with homework and making dinner while her mom worked the night shift at the hospital. That Monday morning, Mrs. Collins stood before the class with a deep frown etched across her face. "Class, we need to address something very serious," she began. Her voice was stern, almost cold. "One of you cheated on last Friday's test. The answers matched the grading sheet exactly, too perfectly to be a coincidence." She looked straight at Maya. The classroom fell silent, a suffocating hush that seemed to scream accusations. "Maya, would you care to explain?" Mrs. Collins asked. Gasps and whispers rippled through the room. Maya's eyes widened. Her voice, barely above a whisper, trembled. "I didn't cheat. I studied really hard. Please believe me." "I'm sorry, Maya," the teacher replied, her tone unyielding. "Until we get to the bottom of this, you'll receive a 0. You can speak to the principal if you wish." Maya sat frozen, tears blurring her vision. She felt the stares, heard the murmurs. Her reputation, what little she had, was crumbling. That afternoon, Maya sat quietly in the principal's office. Principal Harris, a tall man with kind eyes and a slow, thoughtful manner, listened intently as she spoke. Her voice cracked as she explained her study routine, how she'd gone through every past paper, every sample question. "Why didn't you just memorize the answers?" he asked gently. "Because I wanted to understand. I want to be a doctor one day, and my mom says understanding is more important than passing," she said. Moved by her sincerity, Principal Harris decided to investigate further. He asked Mrs. Collins for Maya's past test scores and reviewed them. What he found shocked him. Maya's improvement had been steady over the last year. Not a sudden leap, but a quiet, determined climb. Still, doubts lingered, until a janitor named Joe knocked on the principal's door 2 days later. Joe was in his 60s, a quiet man most people overlooked. But he had seen something that no one else had. "Sir, I don't usually say much, but I saw that girl, Maya, sitting outside the library last week. Every night. Reading under the lamplight for hours. She didn't see me sweeping near the windows. Sometimes she didn't even notice the lights go out. Just sat there reading those thick books." Principal Harris nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing. "Thank you, Joe. That means more than you know." At the next school assembly, Principal Harris walked onto the stage, holding a folder in his hands. The students quieted. "Today, I want to talk about judgment, and about truth. Last week, a student was accused of cheating. But what we discovered is a story of perseverance and integrity. Maya Thompson did not cheat. In fact, she worked harder than most of us can imagine." Maya's head shot up. The room hushed in disbelief. "She studies in the dark when her power goes out. She shares her textbook with her brother. She helps her mother take care of her family, and yet still finds time to learn, not just to pass, but to understand. That kind of spirit cannot be measured by a single grade." He paused, then continued, "We owe Maya an apology. And more than that, we owe her our respect." There was silence. Then, slowly, hands began to clap. It started with one student. Then another. And then the whole room erupted in applause. Maya's face crumpled as she tried to hold back tears. Her classmates, once quick to judge, now stood to applaud her. Mrs. Collins approached her after the assembly, her eyes glistening. "I was wrong, Maya. I hope you can forgive me." Maya nodded, her voice soft. "Only if you help me tutor other kids. I know what it's like to feel behind." The months passed, and Maya became not just a student, but a mentor. The school created a peer tutoring program in her name. Kids who once mocked her now lined up for her help. Her story spread beyond Ridgewood, picked up by a local newspaper, then a regional TV station. Donations poured in, new books, scholarships, even a laptop. A university sent her an early acceptance letter with a full ride. But the most touching moment came when Joe, the janitor, walked into the library one evening and found a small envelope with his name on it. Inside was a handwritten note, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. Maya." And with it, a small scholarship fund she'd started in his name for other students who needed help, called the Joe Grant. In a world quick to judge and slow to understand, Maya's story became a reminder that the truth isn't always obvious, and that kindness, hard work, and faith in others can light the darkest path. The girl once accused of cheating had taught an entire community the meaning of character. And in doing so, she had rewritten the story of her life, with courage, not condemnation. Because sometimes, the ones who seem invisible carry the brightest light of all.